one thing, top questions, right? One of the top questions that in people's mind would be, how safe are my funds with Syfe? Right,
Yeah.
You're a fintech. Yeah, now maybe probably know that we are not small, right? We're one of the leading wealth tech out there in Asia, but is it safe, right? Is it protected under a deposit scheme, right? Protection scheme. So I think these are some of the top questions people will have in their mind. I think it's important that we also address this.
Yep.
For this very good product that we want to bring to everybody in Hong Kong.
Yeah. I think safety for sure is paramount, and it's one of the biggest thing that we focus whenever we launch products. Now we are I think as mentioned before, we are SFC regulated 149. That comes with obviously all the regulatory requirements that we need to abide by, and as simple as effectively the cash, the client assets that come to us are completely segregated versus our principal or corporate assets. So this as the first starting point should make people comfortable that like there is no commingling. So even if effectively Syfe should not happen and will never happen, it goes out of business, your assets are completely segregated from the corporate money, and we can't use them. And I think the second thing to highlight is the quality of the partners that we have. So when you initially fund into any of our portfolios, including the Cash Plus Fixed, your money hits HSBC. Now we have worked with HSBC, and we have been working with HSBC for multiple years. We have probably again a unique setup in Hong Kong where we have a virtual account setup where every single client has a segregated account number. So when you log into your app, when you go to fund, you'll see a unique number, a bank account number that is only for yourself. And when you fund, it hits and it's segregated. So again, like it's not just about the regulatory regime, practically as well. The partners we choose, and HSBC being the top locally. The assets completely segregated. Then I think specifically talking about Cash Plus Fixed. Yes, I think given the way we have constructed to achieve the higher rates, to have that institutionalization in the entire offering, this product is not covered under deposit protection scheme.
We're not a bank, right? It's not a bank account. It's a very innovative investment service, right? But I guess it's important to understand the risks, right? Like when we say we have deposit protection scheme with some of the banks, the time deposit products, right? I think that will protect the end client in a scenario when the bank go out of business, right? And that will be a concern when the client, they may be selecting some third-tier bank or small bank, right? But actually, for the banks that are regulated in Hong Kong, right, as the international financial center, right, we seldom, or I haven't heard of these kind of cases. But if in case that really happen, right, then people are protected by that scheme. I think people in general, they feel that this is important, right? But how do we understand it from holistically, from a risk perspective, right, on the product versus the bank's product?
I think the first important thing is like when we are selecting banking partners, and we understand protection is super important, especially when people think about time deposits. So we choose the banks that effectively only has investment grade credit quality. So which is the largest banks in Hong Kong. We don't go tier 2, tier 3. We purely work with tier 1 banks because again, we want to make sure the banks we work with have large enough assets and are secure or as safe as it can be. Now, I think to your point, like when we think about deposit protection schemes, sometimes we forget that that scheme only comes into play if the bank where your money is goes under. Now, if you're working with the tier 1 banks and effectively the product that we are building here is a 1 month, 3 month or a 6 month time deposit, the likelihood of a tier 1 bank in Hong Kong going under is very, very low.
Exactly.
In that period of time.
So in some scenario, maybe that it shouldn't be a big concern for 1 month, 3 months, or like 6 month tenor, right? And you may only be concerned about this when you are investing with like small banks. And with the segregated account concept, basically, right? We have HSBC as a custodian bank looking after your money, right? We have a trusted partner for the time deposit banks, right? All tier 1 banks. And you would basically understand that in any scenario, right, you should be able to get back your own money, right? It's not like Syfe, if we have an operation need, we can tap into that. It is definitely not the case, right?
Yeah.
With being a licensed entity, and we basically will have all the regulatory standards and reporting in place to make sure everything is aligned with the regulatory
and not just us, I would say, even the banks that we're partnering up with,
exactly.
they have their own regulatory requirements that that we need to disclose whether this money is corporate money or client money. As soon as it's client money, that automatically bank will make sure that it's segregated. Some examples, like obviously, like we continuously partner up and expand our banking partnerships. But couple of examples just to quote to give that sense of comfort is the time deposit partners that we have as of now, and some of them examples are HSBC and ANZ. Like ANZ, like Australia and New Zealand Bank,
one of the largest,
one of the largest in Australia, or second largest in Australia, largest in New Zealand, with more than 8 million customers. It is again like the top tier bank. Now the benefit that we have is all those, like especially some of those banks, have a much more institutionalized setup, and because of that, they are able to give that rate that is really seen in the retail domain.
So you mentioned some examples on these leading banks, right? And constantly we're discussing with many more partners, right, to ensure we actually build an ecosystem that we are able to offer competitive rates, right, for you. So the full transparency is there, right? If you're on board as a customer, before you invest, you will see which bank your money will go to, right? And because the rates change between the banks, and we will be the one helping you to get the optimal one, and then pick the one that offer you one of the most competitive rates, right?